Folks, I want to do a little lesson on troubleshooting your power charger and troubleshooting this. Now, I've pulled these off already because I already established that I was not reading voltage on the bottom two pins here. Now, since these are unplugged, it's safe for me to show you this. But if you put a voltage meter on this pin, let me get closer. Oh, almost dropped my phone. On this pin and this pin, you should read voltage. Otherwise, the connection of the wires on the back side are compromised. Now, I caution you, I really don't like people checking this with the meter, and here's why. Because if you were to ground out the red by touching, again, this is already disconnected, so it's safe for me to do this. By touching the metal here with your probe as well as touching that pin, it's similar if the connection isn't breached. It's similar to you putting a screwdriver across the terminals of your battery in your car. It's not gonna hurt you, so to speak, but it will scare the heck out of you. Now, a little safer way to troubleshoot before you try to establish whether or not these two connections are good on the back side of this pin is to check your charger. Your charger, it's a little bit safer to check because, as you can see, the pins are isolated. So, if I am to put the red on what would be the right side, okay, and the black on what would be the left pin on the bottom, you will get a voltage reading. Of course, your charger needs to be plugged in. And if you notice, it reads green even though I'm not plugged in. That's because the charger isn't sensing a load. So what will happen is if those terminals are breached, if the connection is breached, people will think, well, by golly, this thing's already charged up. If you notice, this charger is plugged into nothing. There's no load on the charger. It's not sensing a load. Therefore, it's not trying to pump voltage. Now, if you notice, this is a 36 volt bike. This is our older Freedom scooter that I'm troubleshooting. A 36 volt charger will put out about 41 volts. Now, if that confuses you, think about your car. A 12 volt battery in your car, if it reads 12 volts, is actually just about dead. And your alternator will put out about 13.5 volts. So a properly charged car battery, not that I want it to go there, is around 12.7 to 12.8 volts. So if you're wondering why that says 41 volts and it's a 36 volt charger, I wanted to explain to you why. So what I'm going to do is to resolder onto that connector. Since, let me take this off of here. I'm gonna, since this connector is fine and doesn't need to be replaced, all that needs to happen is these wires need to be properly attached to the proper pins. As you're facing it, red is right, black is left. Always verify this before you disconnect them so that you don't reverse polarity when you do solder on or reconnect the wires. I show you how to change this connector, and I also show you how to solder these wires in another video where I actually replaced this entire connector on my personal bike, what I call my million-mile bike. But at any rate, this is a great way for you to troubleshoot and to isolate whether the problem is with your charger or if you're not seeing voltage here.